What is up, YouTube? It's your girl Rochelle, and I'm back with another video. Thank you guys for tuning in, liking, sharing, and subscribing. You guys are the bomb.com. Now, in today's video, I am back to share with you guys how it went for our budget in the month of September 2025. If that's something you want to see, then definitely stick around. I use a non-traditional method to pay our bills monthly and make efforts to pay as much of our debt down as possible every month. So if you want to see that, then let's dive right in. Okay, so I can't even remember if I recorded this video, but I did prep my September budget, and I had some goals on here to work on my subscriptions, make a large payment to my Prime credit card, do several farmers markets for my daughter's shea butter business, survive our rental property move out and move in prep for new tenants, flights for my mom, and take care of our P.O. box and medical copays. So let's see how much of that we got done by the end of this video. Just to make it easier, we are going to the good old-fashioned pen and paper. I want to make sure I don't miss a thing, and shout out to you if you commented on any of my last videos. I appreciate you guys. I am not perfect. You're going to see my mistakes, my wins. The goal for the month of September, since we knew we had an increased amount of income, was to accomplish as much as possible in terms of paying our bills that were due, that are kind of like your quarterly bills, biannual bills. So you're going to see a lot of large transactions. So not a lot of progress, still a good amount of progress towards debt, but not like how it was in the month of June, where we were able to just knock out $10,000 of debt, $20,000 of debt. Like those are one-offs. And so let's see what we did get done, because we still did okay. Now let's talk about our income. I'm going to break this budget down into 3 buckets. We're going to talk about our income, then we're going to talk about our expenses from our income, then we're going to talk about our expenses from our velocity banking method, which is how we use a HELOC advance every month to pay our regular bills. Okay, so first let's talk about the money in. Micah's W-2 totaled, we budgeted $7,648, but he actually brought in $8,446, which meant that Micah brought in an extra $798 for us this month. Thank you, Micah. That was 37% of our income. Next is Sisterlocks. I budget about $1,500 a week, so about $6,000 worth of income this month. This was a very unusual month. I worked really hard, y'all. Hence why, not this month, but last month. Hence why you didn't see me on YouTube. I made $12,408. That meant that I made an extra $6,408 this last month. That was 55% of our income. Yes, honey, we did it. Next is the virtual assistant work that I do. We budgeted $1,500. We did not bring in income in the month of September. They paid their invoice a little later. And so that's captured in the October budget. So that meant a difference of $1,500, which was 0% of our income. Next is our rental property. We budgeted $1,713. We actually made that amount, $1,713. That's a difference of 0, and that is 8% of our income. Now, these last 3 buckets, YouTube, my budget shop, and miscellaneous, I did not make any income. And so we're going to put 0 for all of those and a difference of 0. That's okay. It's not going to be an income source every month. The most important part is that we have multiple sources, so that when one bucket does not give us any income, we have another. So I definitely think that, because I wasn't focused on my YouTube in the months of August and September, that's why I did not receive a YouTube check. But I've already met the minimum for October's payout, so I anticipate getting paid for October, so that's good. Now let's jump into our expenses. Oh, hold on. We got to total it up, y'all. Jeez. Where you going, Rochelle? Okay, so our budgeted income was going to total $16,861. Our actual income totaled $22,567. Excuse me, and that's a difference of $5,706. So we made $5,706 extra. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. Now let's talk about the expenses from our income. So, I am self-employed, especially with my Sisterlocks income. So there's things, I make this money, but I have to be responsible and set aside a good amount. And also, there's times where I sell products and services and I have to buy courses and products in advance, and then, pull from the income. So we're going to cover that in this block here. Okay, so expenses from income. Technically, this is a HELOC advance, and I will probably notate that on the next page. Yeah, I'll probably notate that on the next page, but we'll just go ahead and list it here. But we did do an $8,500 HELOC advance. Now, even though this is not from the income, I just wanted to list it here because I wanted to share what we actually sent from our income. And that was a total of $12,160. That's how much we sent to the HELOC in the month of September. So that is a difference. I'm going to put it as positive, even though technically, it is what it is. Actually, yeah, that is a difference of $3,660. So that is 54% of our income. Because one of the things you have to realize when you're doing this velocity banking non-traditional method is you have to be responsible with this income that you are bringing in throughout the month. You can't just, you can't not pay attention to the numbers. And so it can very easily be a slippery slope. But I'm proud of us for dedicating at least this amount of our income right back into the HELOC. Now, we spent a good amount, as you're going to see, but we move onward. So Sisterlocks, I didn't know how much I would have to spend on products, but I ended up spending $3,321 on business expenses. That is for everything: products, services, courses, you name it, tools, just everything I might need to run my business. And so that is a difference of $321. And that was 15% of our income. Now, the next bucket is spending. We budgeted $2,100 for personal and household spending for the month. That's direct deposited out of my husband's paycheck every 2 weeks, and then I supplement it. I did start paying myself a weekly payout of $100 a week from my Sisterlocks income, so that did bump the number up to $2,100. We actually did $2,150, so that is a difference of $50. That is 10% of our income. Next is the taxes category. Boo. I budgeted $900 because that was off of the $6,000 estimated budget, but I did bump that up to $1,905, which is about 15% of my take-home pay from Sisterlocks, my Sisterlocks income for the month of September. So that is a difference of $1,005. And that is 8% of our income. Hopefully I am still in frame. Okay. Rental property, we estimated having expenses of $257. I don't know what I was thinking. It's the move out month. Excuse me. So we actually spent $1,313. I thought those expenses would start to happen in the month of October onward, like once the tenant moved out, but my property manager was not playing. She went ahead and got the ball rolling because she had tours and everything. So that meant that whoops, I put a plus sign. That's supposed to be negative. That's a difference of $1,056, and this was 6% of our income used. Next is the investment category. Remember, I shared that with you guys now. So this is investments made from both my husband's income and my Sisterlocks income. We budgeted $696, but we actually ended up investing $1,115. So that's a difference of $419. I'm putting that as a plus. I don't ca. And that's 5% of our income because we really wanted to increase our budgeting, our investments, because we're not getting any younger and we have accomplished a lot this year in terms of debt pay down. But we don't want to neglect our investments any longer. We've put it off for as long as we could. My husband's investments never stopped, but more so it was a me thing. I was not setting aside money from my self-employment income, so we changed that. Next are our debt payments, and I budgeted 0 and we had 0. So I'm happy with that number because the debt payments that I'm going to show you took place from the HELOC advance, and that means that we did not have to cover any unexpected credit card spending. So there were no surprises on the credit cards this month, which I'm so happy about. So that's a difference of 0, and that's 0% of our income. Next is insurance. That is budgeted at $352, and that's what it was. We paid $352 a month for insurance. Next is Eva. We budgeted $70, and we actually sent her $160, so that's a difference of $90, and that's less than 1% of our income. The last category is our buffer, which I never know how much is going to be left, but it actually was $91, so that's a difference of $91, which is still less than 1% of our income. Okay, so now let's talk about our bills covered by the HELOC advance. So let's talk about it. Let me make sure I get as much of this in frame. Okay, so these are the bills that we need to pay every month to keep the lights on in the house, have a car to drive, all the anticipated bills that we know we're going to have to pay. So first up is rent. Rent, we budgeted $32.50. It actually came to $31.69. And when I say rent, that does include all of our utilities except for the electric bill. That's a difference of, I did not calculate it. What's $32.50 minus $31.69? That's a difference of $81. So that's good. I'll put that as a positive. Next is the HELOC. Now this is something I won't be doing anymore. Every month our HELOC has a minimum payment, and I realized that I've been paying the minimum payment and then, using the velocity banking method to send as much money as possible to the HELOC every month. I think I'm just going to start doing those bulk payments because I do at least weekly bulk payments to the HELOC, and so there's really no need for me to pull money out of the HELOC. Excuse me, y'all. I've just been losing my voice randomly. So yeah, let me know what you think about that. I'm working through these things, it's things that I'm noticing that I probably don't have to do that I'm doing. But, this is why I share the journey. Next, so for the HELOC, the minimum payment was $869. And so that's what we paid, $869. That's a difference of 0. Next is the car payment, which is $888. We have, I think, 15 payments left, something like that. And that's what we paid, $888. That's a difference of 0. We have 1 car. The electric bill is budgeted at $200, and we came in under at $185. So that is a positive difference of $15. Next is the team. I pay my team $650 every month for their help with my virtual assistant business, and so that's what we did. Next is donate. We donate $125 a month, and that's what we did, so no difference there. School. Y'all, I need to let it go. I literally have a plan in the next 2 weeks to print off everything from Eva's homeschooling for the past 8 years, so that I don't have to pay for this anymore. But it's just so crazy to me that if I stop paying this monthly payment, they will literally just delete everything from off their servers. Like they said, they don't hold on to old student coursework. And that's just so crazy to me because I wouldn't have proof that she's been homeschooled for all these years. So I don't know. We got to figure that out quickly. So she's now enrolled in a public charter school virtually. So, we turned in all of that. So, but I needed that paperwork to prove that she could, be enrolled in school as a ninth grader. So I'm like, what if I didn't have that? That just, these companies, y'all, they don't care about these people, including me. But it actually was $42 because I realized that this $30 payment was from when I reached out to them to ask them about what, how it worked when you canceled your bill. And that's when I found out everything that I just told you. And so they were like, well, we'll give you a discounted rate for the next 3 months of $30 until you figure it out. So I had 3 months to figure it out, and I still... Anyway, that is a negative difference of $12. Next is good old Peloton. I don't care what you say, Peloton is worth it. It was $46. I already know that it's going up next month to basically $50. I'm going to pay them people that extra $4. I wish I had enough room in my little teeny little apartment for the Peloton tread. I love it. I love it. Next category is car charging. We budgeted $200 and it actually came to $239. So that is a difference of $39. Next is Micah's credit card. It has a minimum balance of $362. This is our one of our 2 low interest credit cards. So we're paying these off last. And so we paid $362. My credit card, my low interest credit card is $412. And that's how much I paid them, $412. And then the Prime credit card, our last high interest credit card. Again, kind of thinking the same thing. Like, I don't really need to pull money out to make the minimum payment every month if I'm just going to make a bulk payment anyway. I think my concern is I don't know how much extra money we're going to have to send to pay off the debt, because we are using the HELOC to pay down Prime as quickly as possible. Our goal is to pay off Prime by December of this year because the interest is so buck wild crazy. So the HELOC, the interest is so much better. And so we're trying to quickly make payments on Prime so that it can have a zero balance. And then in the new year, we would just have these 2 low interest credit cards and the HELOC to pay down. And all 3 of those are the same interest rate, 10% or less. So, which is still high, but these credit cards, they're 25% interest. So I don't know. Let me know your thoughts on that. Anyway, the minimum Prime payment was $819. But it actually came in lower because we've been making bulk payments, which I'll share with you in a minute. So it was $765. So that was a difference of $54. Then the snowball payment that I just talked about. We budgeted $2,500, and how we came up with that number is the minimum payments of all of our previous debts that we used to have. So bare minimum every month, we want to send $2,500 extra to Prime. I looked at the number. We owed just over $20,000 left on this Prime credit card. It's still a high balance. I wanted to get it under $20,000, so we sent $3,525. And that put it right under $19,000. Now I know with interest it'll pop right back up to just over $20K, but next month for sure it should stay under $19K and just keep on moving. So we have literally October, November, and December to pay this thing off, or at least get it down as much as possible. And I'm hopeful. That's a difference of $1,025. I'm adding that as a plus because I'm so done with credit cards. It's like I don't even recognize who I was with these credit cards before, y'all. Like, I don't even understand where my mind was because when I say I don't use credit cards at all now, like, and if I do, I pay them off the same day. Like the transaction, as soon as it's not pending anymore, I just pay it. So it's just crazy how I spiraled out of control, but we're cleaning up our mess. Next is the subscriptions category. Totally honest with you, I did not go through and add the subscriptions because I knew that in October I had already added the subscriptions and I've already started canceling some, y'all. So I can't wait to share that update with you guys for October. But I just put $200 because that was the amount that I could find. And then it came in at $157. Again, I'm not stressing over those subscriptions. I know a little adds up over time, but I think we're at a point in our budget where we can afford to do that because the only thing we do is sit home, work out, use our streaming services, and occasionally travel. Like we don't have any travel for this year. We've only traveled off island once so far this year. We do have plans to travel next year. So I'm late next year. So I want to go ahead and just, not be so hard on myself about the smaller stuff like the subscriptions. And even with food and groceries, like y'all, for real, I don't even look at the bill. The one thing that I have changed is that I will shop and do like smaller purchases more often instead of huge, big hauls. I think that helps to keep the budget down, but it is what it is. Everything costs money. The last bill is the landlord insurance. This is for our rental property for the next 6 months, just to give you an idea of how much everything is inflated. This used to be $600. Excuse me. This used to literally be $600. I remember paying it, and I remember struggling to have the money to pay it. So it's so crazy. But now the bill was $1,449. So that is what we paid those people. And that is a difference of zero. So if you add all of this up in the actual column, you get $12,883. Remember, we only were originally supposed to pull $8,500 out. That way we could have like extra, money on the HELOC to bring down the balance. But then we made that snowball payment on Prime and we had large expenses like this landlord insurance. So this is why I don't let nobody get in my head about purchasing the next rental property and this and that. And having a property and maintaining it and keeping it up is expensive. It's just not my vibe. It might be for somebody else, but it's not for me, y'all. All right, now let's talk about some updates. So this is kind of a recap of some things that we just talked about. I just like easy and I like minimal. So the Prime credit card, it started in the month of August at $27,085. We brought it down now to $20,441 because it wouldn't show me what my updated balance was. I know technically it's under that amount, but I just went with whatever it showed me. So that means that we were able to bring our balance down by $6,644. So I'm happy with that. And that's since the month of August. So that's about 60 days. We were able to pay $6,600. Micah's credit card is next. It started at $19,514. It is now down to $19,118. So that is a difference of $396. So pretty much one payment. So I pretty much know that my credit card and his credit card, every 2 months, one minimum payment, that's how much the balance will go down. So basically take half of every payment that we make. My credit card in July, these are both from July, was $21,681. It went down to $21,248. So that is a difference of $433. Next is the car. I'm just tracking it because we are inside of the last 2 years of car payments, and we are going to be having to decide soon, like, should we pay it off sooner? Because, the balance is really getting down. But I really would rather keep focusing on the high interest debt because the car payment interest is like 2 point something percent. But again, we're just tracking it because next year, if we pay off our low interest credit cards, then the following year, which will be one of the last payments we make on the car, we might be able to pay it off sooner. So the car started in July at a balance of $20,756. It is now down to $19,067. So that is a difference of $1,689. So that's pretty good. I'm not really tracking anything except for the credit cards, but our new credit cards balance is down to $60,807, roughly. These are all, my math might not be perfect. Y'all always catch me in my mistakes. I appreciate y'all. But I'm happy with the fact that our credit card balances are going down. They were over $100,000. And like I said, this was just from medical spending, emergencies, car issues, everything. Life was life in the last 2 to 3 years. And so I'm finally feeling like we can breathe a little bit, and we are trying to just knock this out as quickly as possible. Number 2 is our net worth. Honestly, guys, I haven't tracked it since I shared that net worth update video with y'all a couple of months ago over the summer. I think I will track this more closely at least once our high interest credit card is gone. Because I feel like we're just still using this velocity banking method to pay down the high interest debt, but we're just pulling that debt over to a low interest situation. So you're not going to see much change in the net worth. So anyway, last track, it was about $159,000 of positive net worth, which is, I'm shocked. I thought it would still be in the negative, but I guess the value of the car, the value of the rental property, all of that really is helping, plus the fact that we're paying down this debt. Credit score is next. It started in the 700s a couple of months ago. It's now up to the 750s. And the only reason I even updated this is because I was just shocked at how quickly our credit score has kind of swung in an upward position just by paying down this credit card debt so quickly over the last few months. Again, I don't check my credit score often. I'd gotten an alert in an email that it had reached the 750s. And so that's what made me share that with y'all. Savings, we try to keep some cash on hand. We do want to grow this to 10,000 just casually. And this is outside of the HELOC because I know that I should have at least a 1-month emergency fund. And honestly, we've just been working so hard to pay off debt. We haven't really grown our savings, and our savings took a hit when we had some unexpected medical bills because at first I tried to cover it with savings. So anyway, we were able to grow it to $5,000. So we're on track to hit 10,000 or at least 7,500 by the end of the year. So the income totaled $22,567. Expenses from the HELOC came to $12,883, like we talked about, which meant that we had $10,407 to spend on things like taxes, not spend, but to set aside money for taxes, to invest, to spend, to cover insurance, the rental property, and the buffer. So that's pretty much everything for our budget in the month of September. So I'm happy with that. How do you guys think we did? I wish we had made more progress and moved the needle a little more in the HELOC department, but we also survived September, which I knew it was going to be a costly month. And I know that October, I already have some pending transactions for the rental property, just You know, just the tenant was just superb. Like, she paid for the carpets to be cleaned before she moved out. Like, it was that type of tenant. And she bought a house. So like, you could tell like her heart was in the right place. So we have very minimal work to do, but we do have to pay for inspections, insurance, registration, any other business filings. We have to pay for appraisal. We have to pay for, what is that called? Like, just fresh coat of paint in a couple of rooms. Kind of just like maintenance stuff, like new filters, just everything. Y'all, that little stuff adds up. But anyway, that is it for today's video. Thank you guys for sticking around and vibing with me. Let me know in the comments if you are happy with your September budget and how you're looking for the rest of the year. I will see you guys in the next video. Until then, you know what it is. Peace, love, and budgets.